Hello, how are you? I am Helen Sadler, your Destiny Helper, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about something that is very vital. Thank you for writing me. Thank you for those of you who email me and asking me about narcissism and cheating. Is it really true? And are they capable of being faithful? Well, let's talk about it. The narcissist, we know that it has a problem with living in reality. The narcissist live in illusions. And when the narcissist cannot love, because most of their love is an illusion. They live with needing fuel, and so you supply fuel, you supply love, but they're not able to return that love back. Well, if you're not returning that love back, it would be no need to really think about loving someone. Hello, Sandra. How are you? Glad to have you on. Hello, Mark. Good morning to the both of you. I'm so glad to have you on board. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on board. We're talking tonight about narcissism and cheating. What happens with the narcissist when you are faithful, when you love them? Are they capable of being faithful to you and loving you? Not all narcissists cheat. Not all narcissists cheat, especially the ones are really cerebral. They really don't care about sex. Their mind is not geared their way. And most of them that are really cerebral, a lot of them they can hold out. That's not their focus. And narcissists is whatever they're focused on, that becomes their target for withdrawing fuel and withdrawing energy. But most of the narcissists are not faithful. They are very disloyal. They cheat. Many of them are bisexual because whatever they want to and whoever they want to cheat with, they cheat with. You have some narcissists that can be ancestrals, go through the family. And so a lot of you have been hurt because you didn't got into triangling, that while the narcissist was talking to you and he love bombed you or she love bombed you, you was nobody that was more perfect than you. You was absolutely perfect. They found nothing wrong with you until your humanity began to show forth. And when your humanity began to show forth, then you could do nothing right. Where the narcissist, a lot of times when they are love bombing you, they already have another specimen in mind. And Mark say, that's all my wife did. And the more I forgave her, wow. He said that's all his wife did. And the more he forgave her, the more she found, the more she did. And she cheated more. Well, you know what? And this is Lynette. Hello, LaWanda. How are you? Thank you for being with us. Well, the narcissist, you got to remember the narcissist is not about love. They're about supply. They're about fuel. And they fuel themselves with the emotions of others. And they come upon after the love bombing, it's downhill until they want to hoover you again. And the hoovering and the love bombing, as long as you're with them, that can take place at different intervals in the relationship. Well, they're not faithful. Sometimes you're going out with a narcissist and they're looking at someone shows them a little agreement with the attention they're giving them. And it starts, that narcissist start drawing fuel. They will flirt with people with you right there. And you nail them and tell them that they're doing it, they'll lie like they're not doing it. They'll say that you are controlling, that something is wrong with you, when really the narcissist is flirting. Some narcissists have been known to have 5 to 10 women at one time. And what they do is when they triangle one, because each specimen or each supply them with a certain amount of fuel for different reasons. And so based on the status of the fuel, primary, secondary, and then you got your third, fourth, fifth ranking individuals. So whatever the ranking order is and the attention that they give, the higher the rank, the more attention the narcissists give. The lower rank, they may not give you all of that attention that you need. LaWanda said that is absolutely true. And so what the narcissist does, they are flirting while you are out with them. They're talking. You notice they always have their phone. That you hardly ever catch a narcissist without their phone because they're constantly texting these people that they are triangling with. They have to report in at a certain time. And when that narcissist tell them that they want them at that time, they have to be at that time with that narcissist. And the narcissist cheat because the narcissist being not capable of loving, living in a world of disillusionment, constantly needing fuel. They have multiple supplies and they start to the discard phase. They start the devaluation phase upon meeting you, because once you get past the love bombing, that you go nowhere else but down. And so this is why the narcissist constantly, because they're constantly needing fuel, they're not going to let you in their mind. They're not going to let you in their head. He said, yes, always have a passcode on everything, right? Because they are constantly in communion with someone, in communication with someone. They're on the email. They're on their texting someone. They're calling someone. Someone texting them. Someone calling them, and they can have as much supply as they can handle. And you got to remember, when you are new supply, they have to love bomb them, win them over, win up their trust. And they got the mask on, because the mask, they can only hold that mask on for so long. So they keep going from supply to supply to supply. And they don't stand the risk of the mask falling off, because if they with you over a period of time, that mask will fall off. It will slip. And you will know that who they say they are is not who they really are. And when the narcissists begin to hoover you and love bomb you, a lot of times when they have a sexual partners, they like to have sex with their partners because it releases soul ties. And that narcissist want to tie into you. That narcissist want the highest amount of fuel to pull from you. And the highest amount of fuel to pull from you is with intimacy, with sexual relationship, because you are love bombing with a soul tie. And when you are soul tied into them, they are locking you in, because what they want you to do is be dependent upon them. They want you to be totally entrusting to them. And the best way to do that, they think, is through sexuality. So when they have sex with you, they're intending for that soul tie to be strong, and it makes it harder and it makes it more difficult to leave. And this is Angela Walker. Hello, Angela. She said, oh my goodness, absolutely. And you will find the narcissists, not only do they love to have sex and get intimate with that supply, but a lot of them don't even use protection, because the narcissists think that he's a pretty good judge of character. And the narcissist will risk your life by thinking they are a pretty good judge of character and won't wear protection. And they got all of these specimens they're sleeping with, and they're risking your life when they come and sleep with you, and they're sleeping with these other people unprotected. And they think that they are so smart and that they are so intelligent that they are able to escape diseases. And many of them that have incurred diseases will not tell you they will sleep with you, because you got to remember, the narcissists live on the supply of pain and trauma bonding. And so the maximum amount of pain to whatever gets you to react, when you react emotionally, that's fuel. And that's why they love sex, because there's a lot of emotion in sex. There's a lot of power in sex. The fuel is high in sex, because you are brought to your lowest, weakest stage as a male, as a female, because you are your most vulnerable. And it is laced with emotion, laced with passion. fuel when you are dealing with a narcissist. And the only thing is they lie, and the more you think you catch them, the more they lie about it. And they have you so confused when you catch them in cheating and them lying until you don't know what you saw. You start to deny a truth. You start to say, well, maybe it was me. Maybe it wasn't them. Maybe they did not sleep with that person. And the truth of it is they did. And narcissists are not, many of them are not even caring about the age. They will sleep with underage individual. They will sleep with older individual, because you got to remember, one narcissist said, I don't care if they have one leg or one eye or no teeth. If it's the fuel, they're after the fuel. And that's why a lot of times, if you notice, a narcissist also can withhold sex from a person, because when you go black, white, and the black is when you are just totally cut off, and the white is when you still in their good grace. And so when you are totally cut off, they withhold sex from you to touch you or anything of that. And when you touch them, they almost cringe with a touch, because when they don't love you, but when they approve of you, they approve of you. And when they are just totally just disdain with you, they can't stand for you to touch them. They can't stand anything of that nature. So when a narcissist is in what do you call it, devaluation of one person, they're usually love bombing another one. And while they're love bombing another one, they're sleeping with another person. And while they're sleeping with another person, they could be sleeping with several while they got another one on the hook, and they're devaluating another one. There's a system, there's a cycle. And so because a narcissist live by fuel, they do not live by love, and they live by emotions. They do exact emotions, but most of their emotions are negative. And the people they choose oftentimes is people who are positive, people who are caring. Everything about them that they hate about you or don't have in themselves is what they go after. So when a narcissist is with you, 9 times out of 10, that narcissist is not faithful, will not be faithful. And many of you say, I love them, I would be the one to change them. No, you won't. They will cheat. They will cheat in an instant. They will go with anyone they are attracted to. They will go anytime they are attracted to someone. They can be pulled off course, promised to marry you, and pulled off course within a week. And it doesn't matter who it is, as long as there is some kind of attraction, the narcissist will play the harlot or the game you, and will cheat on you. They are not faithful. The Bible told the Christians to be ye holy, for the Lord God is holy. And Mark say, she still calls every 3 days at the most, no matter what. He said, and yes, my wife at one time was sleeping with at least 2 others. See, that's what I'm talking about. You run the risk when you're sleeping with a narcissist. And you know, if they get AIDS, they do not mind transmitting their AIDS. They will know they have it, and they will still sleep with you. They will know that they have a venereal disease, and they will not think anything of you, and won't tell you you have it unless they are just being really malicious. But most of them will let you walk in that. Most of them will let that disease work in your body, and they know that they have been diagnosed with a venereal disease. And look at what he was saying. Mark said his wife, he knew she was sleeping with at least 2 other men while she was sleeping with him. See, a narcissist is not faithful, because you got to remember the characteristics of the narcissist is diabolical. They live by negative means. They live by pulling energy out of you. They pull the good out of you, and they want to transmit their wicked ways to you until they put you on total shutdown. But the narcissist is not faithful because they are triangling. The narcissist is not loyal. They are liars. The narcissist would gaslight you where you don't know whether you're going to come in, and they know they're cheating, or they would devalue you because you caught them, and you caused a narcissistic injury by telling them, I saw you with her. But they would use word salad. They would confuse you with stuff that make no sense, to totally take you off topic. So if you think you have a narcissist and the narcissist is being faithful, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He will flirt. She will flirt. It doesn't matter where you take them, who is with you. They will flirt with your best friend. They will flirt with a family member. They will flirt with the young. They will flirt with the old. They will be with underage if they can get away with it. Some of them are very incestuous in the family, but sexual contact is the highest element of fuel, and they will take it because they will do anything for fuel. They don't care about you being hurt. They don't care how terrible it looks. They don't care about being loyal. They don't care if you talk about them. They will go after the fuel, because you got to remember, many narcissists are very irresponsible. They do what they want when they want it and think they can get away with it. And if that means that they will hurt you by sleeping with your best friend, they would do it. The narcissist will not be faithful. And many of them can triangulate many relationships at one time. They will cultivate them. Many of them will sleep with several different women, several different men at one time, and come to you unprotected. So you have to be the thinker. You have to understand the nature of the narcissist. And many times we try to make them just like we are, and they are not just like we are. And this is Courtney. Hello, Courtney. Courtney says, wow, yes, they will. And many, and women, not only just men, there would be women that would be with several men at one time. They will sleep with several men at one time. And this lets you know that this is an ungodly spirit. This is an ungodly nature, because if you are a Christian, Christians usually hold the standard unless they get carnal. When you get carnal is when you get pulled away from a narcissist. Even being a believer, it's easy for you to compromise your standard because you're addicted to the narcissist. You'll do anything to keep them. You'll leave anybody that's disturbed your disillusionment of what you think is love, your fantasy of what you think is love. You will do what that narcissist say. And being a Christian, you know, if you're not married, fornication is wrong, and that doesn't stop the Christian from falling into that when they are hooked on the narcissist. And you do what the narcissist say. And once you open up those doors, the Bible said neither give place to the devil, because once you open up those doors are open. And if you allow them to give a foothold, they will ramshack your heart. They will ramshack the place of purity. And many of you have struggled. You have struggled, and you tried to maintain your purity. You tried to maintain your righteousness, but you was with the narcissist, and they did not stop until they got you to compromise your standard. And when they got you to compromise your standard and you tried to relift that standard up, then you found out that you was criticized tremendously, and he wouldn't or she wouldn't stop until it happened over and over again. And when you lift up the standard, the fact that you lift up the standard, they wanted that standard down. And when they lift that standard down, it bulldozed, because they knew it was an uncomfortable place. I'm talking to Christians now. They knew that was an uncomfortable place. It made it of high intensity, of high value for you, because that's what they wanted. They wanted your purity. They wanted your standard. They wanted you to struggle. And when they took that, that was the ultimate, because you went against God to satisfy them. Mark said, yes, she told me that she had previously been with two men at once and with another couple several times before we met. See, that's the narcissists. They are perverted. I mean, they like orgies, many of them, and they invite other into the relationship, and they're never satisfied. Anything that bring you discomfort, anything that gets you to let down your standard, they want that standard down. And if your standard is love, you can't forget it. They're not going to be committed. And if you feel uncomfortable having a groupie or some other person in there, the narcissist will make sure that they violate all codes and sanctions in your mind. Believer, you have to be very careful. The Bible tells us to walk in the spirit and don't fulfill the lust of the flesh, because we can be deceived by people. We can be deceived by the character. And you got to remember, when you are with the narcissist, it's almost like they release a demonic mist. And when this demonic mist is sprayed, you'll find yourself doing anything they want. And they will ask you what in places of uncomfortability. She said, I wish I could have heard this. Let me get that back. She said, I wish I could have heard this. I'm trying to get that. There you go. She said, I wish I could have heard this when I was younger. I could have avoided years of pain. You know what, Wanda? I do too. I wish you could have too. I wish that wisdom like this was there, but a lot of times we don't know until we've got caught in it, and you don't know until you escape. And when you escape, then you look back, you see that it was a trap, and your mind get clear. You got to remember, when you're with the narcissist, your mind is like this film go over your mind, and you cannot think because your thoughts are cloudy. Your judgment is clouded. It's like this narcissist is hypnotic. They put this spell on you, and you are in and doing things that you would normally do. Any place that make you uncomfortable with compromise, make the narcissist very comfortable in requesting that. And being a Christian, they will request your virtue. They will request your standard to be lower, and they will sexually engage with you because they know that is high impact, that's high energy, and that is high dependency. Because once you get a soul tie, you are tied into them. You don't want to be without them. And this gives them greater control over your life, greater control. And then you start thinking that giving them sex would keep them. You struggle with breaking the standard of holiness. Now you struggle with not doing it because you don't want to lose them. And that does not keep the narcissist. The narcissist is not going to stay. They're going to triangle. They're going to get a new specimen, because the narcissist cannot be committed because they're not committed to love. Hello, Jade. She said, very true, very true. They're not committed to love. And see, you got to remember, when you are sleeping with somebody right in the midst and they tell you, I love you, the narcissist will tell you they love you the first week they meet you. Their relationship is going so fast and it feels so good because they're exchanging reflections of what they got from you, and they are mirroring you, and you see yourself, and it's the perfect specimen. You think the perfect person, and you're thinking they love me, they care for me. No. And then when they love you, most narcissists, most of them have been skilled, because do you know how many suppliers they've had and have been intimate with, and many of them have as many as 10 women at one time, and they're going from woman to woman. So you can't give your emotions like that. And this is why you're left hanging, you're left in ruins, and you find that once they get you to compromise in that state, unless you are a primary source, you start to go down, you start to be devalued. He done broke the seal. Once he break the seal, it's just a patchwork. It's patched up from that. It's patched up emotion. It's patched up time. And you find that sometimes he's ghosting. You can't even get him like you used to get him. They start fading away because the narcissist stays away from anything that tries to trap him or bring him into a responsibility or bring him into accountability. He avoid that like the plague. And Mark said, she told me that she was with, with quite a few men before me, and that she was about, and she talked about how bad she felt about herself and how she wanted to be changed. And that was at the beginning of our relationship. Yeah, because that was a deceptive ploy. She didn't want to be changed. She didn't want to stop. She wanted to get you. And because you probably was a man of standard, had high standard, you had a high value system, she told you what you wanted to hear. And you believed her because she was very convincing. So that's why he said, so that's why I called myself trying to show her unconditional love. Yes, let me tell you something. The narcissist is a trickster, a scoundrel when it comes to love and relationship. They are experienced. Can you imagine if she's been with that many men, how much experience she get in trapping them? And Mark say, and that's how Yep, that's how you got trapped. See, Mark, that's how a lot of people get trapped. They get trapped because they are powerful with words. And most narcissists, the upper grade, the higher they go, the more careful they are with words. They just don't talk out of the side of their mouth. All of their words have meaning, has a value to them. They use these words as a hook, and they mean to say what they mean. And they know that when they're playing games, it's like a chess table. You got to think before you move, and every move you make is intentional. So you know all the chess that's on the board before you make your move. So when you make your move, you can make your move that's going to give you the greatest advantage. And that's what the narcissist does. Make their move to give you the greatest advantage because they need to win your heart, and they win your heart quickly. They don't waste time. These narcissists don't waste time. They win your heart. They win you over. They'll tell you they love you, and then she telling you how they feel bad. How a narcissist gonna feel bad? To feel bad would be able to feel like you are able to repent. So why is the narcissist in an immutable state where it's very difficult for them to change? Because they don't look within. They don't consider within. They don't consider that they do wrong, because you got to remember the narcissist is very prideful, and they don't think they do wrong. They think you did wrong, but they don't think they did wrong. So when she says she felt bad, that was a lie. That was a trap. That was a ploy to get you in. And that ploy is to win you over. And you feel like you need to protect her because women can come in with a vulnerability and play the victim. And then you being the man you are, you feel like you need to protect them. You feel like you need to shield them. You feel like you need to cover them. And so you go in to cover them. You go in to shield her. And the next thing you know, you're spending so much energy, so much time shielding her. And what she wants to do is get you in the ultimate compromise, to get you in bed after you feel like you need to protect her, after you feel like you need to shield her, after you feel like you need to cover her. And then you love her. Then you have a sexual escapades with her. Now you feel a sense of loyalty and commitment to her, and she's loyal and committed to nobody. Everything she do is for a trickster. Everything she do is for gain. He said yes, and she could never answer. And she could never answer a question directly. Yep. Never a yes or a no. I used to always tell her what the Bible says about yay and nay. But see, she's not going to let you trap her. Very calculative. I mean, very cerebral. They are thinking. They are thinking because they got to have the maximum advantage. No matter what you do with a narcissist, the narcissist thinking how they going to come on top. It doesn't matter how you hurt. They just got to come on top. That's why the narcissists use sex. Sex is a powerful tool. It's like the ultimate tool that you bring out of your Snapchat, and you bring that out of your game bag, and you use that with them. They think that's love. They think that's caring. They don't care. That is just a means of hooking you. And that's why they are not faithful, because they are not faithful. They need supply. They need maximum supply. And they are out to hurt as many people as they can, because they are hurting themselves. They're wounded themselves. They're devastating themselves. They are in turmoil themselves. And they will never leave you in a place of wholeness and a place of completion. And sex is a weapon for them. It is a powerful weapon, and they lock and load that weapon against you. Every time you get in the bed, the gun has been fired. Every time you get in the bed, the grenade has been cast. Every time you get in the bed, the rocket has been launched. And they hit their target by hitting your mind, hitting your heart, and hitting your body. The Bible said, two said he shall become one flesh. So when you join with that narcissist in sexuality, whether it's male or female, you have become one unit, and they think that they can take over your mind because you start thinking about them and start thinking like them. And this is why you notice when you sleep with the narcissist, you can tell when they sad. You start thinking about them at different times, and you can actually tell them some things about themselves, and that's exactly what they was thinking, because it is the soul, your mind, will, and emotion tied up together. So your mind and your will and your emotion tied up together, and it's tied up in one person because you gave your body over to them and they use sex as an advantage. So when they are cheating, it's still hard for you to let them go. When they are triangling, you still fighting. You start to compete with what you think they're getting outside of you, and you start trying to make it right, and you start being the best. You will go to any limit, anything they want, you would give them, because you can't see yourself doing without them. You can't see them being with somebody else, and somebody else having the propensity to win them over, to captivate their mind, because you're thinking that the narcissist is a regular person and they're thinking like a regular person. A narcissist do not think like a regular person. They are walking empty, void bodies that are walking around unable to love, incompetent of loving. Um, he said, exactly, yes. And so when you are with the narcissist, once the mask come off and you recognize you with a narcissist, unfortunately, Mark, when she was telling you all of this, I wish you had listened to her before you have joined in a covenant, because a lot of times they jokingly tell off on themselves, but they're really telling the truth. And they would jokingly tell you, well, I do this, I did that, or this happened. And then they joke like it's not a reality. But the reality is they may be joking with you, but it's true. They've slept with those people. They've hurt those people. They triangle those people. And if you're with a narcissist, 9 times out of 10, you are undergoing pain and hurt, and you're under tremendous suspicion of that narcissist. And that suspicion has facts with it, because they all of a sudden they're ghosting you. You can't get them like you used to get them. They're fading out from you. They're gaslighting, or they're devaluing you. You can't do anything wrong, or they're living in a disillusionment, or they're lying. And no matter what you do, nothing you ever do is right. They used to call you all the time. They used to be with you all the time. Now when they text you, it's a 1-word text, 2 words text, just to keep you on the hook. It's no longer a conversation, and it's no longer intricate like it used to be. You no longer feel that they are there for you. And then the things that they loved about you, they can't stand it. And you trying to figure out what happened. So you now, the narcissist use sex to hook you. Now you're using sex to keep them, because you know that they're cheating. You know that there's someone else. And when you know that there's someone else, you're trying to use everything in your power to turn their mind towards you, to turn their heart towards you, to turn their ways towards you. You want their time back. You want to feel that loving feeling. You want to feel like you're on top of the world. It's like people who took crack for the first time. They do everything they can to get that original high. You never get that original high. Once the original high is gone, it never returns. It never comes back. And that's what you are fighting for. And the narcissist that's cheating, you're wondering who they're cheating with. You're sick and you are worried. You're stressed out. The narcissist will cheat. They're not going to be loyal. When they start cheating, no matter how they tell you they're not going to cheat, they will cheat. They are cheaters. They are liars. They lie and fabricate different things and just to keep you on the hook, to keep you from leaving, to keep you from moving. And that's why they devaluate, so you can trauma bond, and you start doing that Stockholm syndrome. You start protecting your predator, fighting for your predator, because you got this void, because you got a soul tie from having sex with them, but you know they're cheating, and you don't even know who you competing with. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. And when they tell you so you can get jealous. They tell you so you can be hurt. And then you find yourself competing against an imagery, competing with whatever or whoever they're with. You find yourself competing. The narcissists, most of them don't even care the ethnicity, the sexuality, whether they gender, they want the sex. And that is a tool, and it's more than just for pleasure. She said that she didn't think that she liked herself because of that, but she act like she wanted to change. And I thought she just needed somebody to love her unconditionally. Most people think that, Mark. Most people think that. You're not the only one that thought that. You're not the only one thought that she needed someone to love. Most people want to protect the narcissist because the narcissist can come as a victim. The narcissist can tell you, I'm just looking for somebody to love. They're married. What do you mean you looking for somebody to love? You already got somebody to love. If they don't turn their attention toward home, did you think that you could win them out? Did you think that you can pull them out? And a lot of times, many of you don't even know who you're dealing with. And so you treat them like a regular person. They would just love me if I would show them more attention. Your attention is fuel. It's not love. So if you would just give them more fuel, they're going to get tired of your fuel. It doesn't matter what you give them. You can never satisfy them. It's like eating ice cream, chocolate ice cream all day, every day, chocolate ice cream, chocolate. After a while, you don't want chocolate ice cream. You don't want chocolate cookies. You don't want chocolate cake. That's the way the narcissist is. They are bored very easy. Their attention cannot be held very long, and they're off and running. They're off and cheating anywhere, everywhere, and they're not responsible. They don't care about how their love making, and it's not love making, it's really sex, did for you and how it caused you to be emotionally connected. That has nothing to do, honey. You just a fuel package. And when the fuel package is over and then they need to move, they're going to move. And it doesn't matter if you're devastated, it doesn't matter if you hurt, they're going to do that. This is why, as Christians, God give us a standard. God give us a standard of holiness, a standard of righteousness that you can't do in your flesh. You can only do in the spirit. The Bible said, be ye holy. So that means that every moment we should be holy. And anything that challenge that, we have to have the strength enough to discard that, to say that this is not who I am and I will not do that. But you got to remember the nature of the narcissist. They can be very hypnotic. They can be very addictive. They cause all of these hormones to run through your body. They cause a redirection of your mind. They shift your thoughts. They shift your will. They shift your loyalty from God to them. They become the ultimate. They become the totality. All of your attention go to them until you give your whole self to them. And once you administrate to them, minister to them. I don't even want to say minister. Once you give yourself to them with sexual means, which you know it's out of order. That's why a lot of narcissists like yours probably hooked you up with marriage because they want to attach to you. You just become the primary supply. They will marry you and act like they love you, and they will give you children, and you will have children with them. But that narcissist does not change just because he had a ceremony with you. They are still disloyal. You can marry him today. He can be in somebody's bed tomorrow. She can be in somebody's because they're disloyal. You got to remember the only thing they're loyal to, the only person they're loyal to is to themselves. So now when you recognize what you're dealing with, you have to get a strategy because no matter how loyal you are, they're not going to change. They're not going to quit. And Mark say, I used to wonder why she always seemed to be unhappy all the time because they're empty, Mark, because they're void. You know, the Bible said, be filled with the Spirit. When you be filled with the Spirit, there's joy, there's peace, there's confidence. When you fill with the Spirit, they're not filled with God's Spirit. They're filled with a diabolical spirit. That's why they cease to hurt you. That's why they can sleep with you with no conscience, no guilt. And they can be in the church. Just because they're in the church don't mean anything. Narcissists come to church. The devil comes to church. If they can get their prey in the church, because a lot of times people think the church is the most fascist place to find supply because they count the saint as weak. Because most saints will not have a personal relationship where they strengthen with the Lord Jesus Christ. And so they're living in their flesh and they're trying to do spiritual things on their own. You'll get captured. You'll get captivated. You'll get disillusioned. You'll be hurt. You will get hurt. And I'm telling you, the risk factor of having sex with a narcissist is very, 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 very dangerous and very, very, very high. And so when you are married, that is no protection because married narcissists act like they're single. They cheat and they don't care what they bring home. They will bring that fire home. If they get treated, they will still sleep with you before they get treated. And then once they get treated by not telling you that it was them, they will accuse you of stepping out. They would accuse you of having sex with someone. They would say it's not them, it's you. You cheated, not them. And it would have been them cheating all along. But if you don't know, they will confuse you. And you know you didn't step out. Now, you were the one who was faithful. You never stepped out. But they got you so confused. You think something happened and you know it didn't. And that's what they do. They make sure that they do a turnabout. They make sure that whatever is wrong goes to you. And you blame yourself when you know the truth. You go in full denial because you're confused. They use confusion. They love confusion. The narcissist and cheating is prevalent. The narcissist is cheating. You can almost expect it. The narcissist is cheating. You can be assured. The narcissist and cheating, they really don't care. Your mama, daddy, grandmother, papa, or even great granddaddy. If they can get a hold to great granddad, he can't even walk, they'll take him because they're looking for supply. When it comes to cheating, the narcissist will do it with no conscience. They won't care about you. They won't care about how they hurt you. They won't care about you being in pain. You have to do that. You have to care about you because they will not. So when it comes to you and the narcissist, when it comes to you and the narcissist being faithful, no. And you not believing that it can happen only gives them a greater advantage. They will cheat. They will violate every sanction you have. They will violate every code you have. And Mark say, 2 months after we got married, she told me that she slept with her ex 2 days before we got married. Oh my God. And that was the first time I forgave her. So I guess she knew that I was a forgiving husband. Yep, she tested the water, Mark. She tested the water. She knew you would forgive her. She knew that you wouldn't leave her. Narcs have a sixth sense on people. And you got to remember, during the love bombing, there were so many questions they asked. There were so many variables that was made known to them. That was the testing ground. That was your intake moment. She did a full intake. And for her to tell you that a couple of days after you got married, that was divorce stuff. But you was already in love. You was already addicted. You was already on her hypnotic effect. And for years, it cost you. And what do? You end up without your wife in a divorce. And she's still doing the same. You are being every 3 days, Mark, when she called, you need to go no contact. You don't need to answer that. Let her call, but do not pick up the phone. Let her text. Do not respond to her text. When she go on Facebook, do not respond to Facebook. Go no contact. When you go no contact, the narcissist is dead to you and you are dead to her. When you do that, your mind is going to come into focus. The fog will leave and you will begin to have clearance. She told me that 2 months after we got married. See, who cheats 2 months after they get married? That's crazy. Then why do you get married? And see, Mark, I'm talking to Christian people. I can talk and deal with anybody with narcissism, but I am a believer. I am a Christian woman, and I believe that we need to be holy. I believe in being pure, and I believe if there's not purity, the risk is too high to risk that. It's too high. It's definitely too high to risk your life over someone who cannot be faithful, because they will not. You're not with her. She's not faithful. You were with her. She wasn't faithful. And before you married her, she wasn't faithful. Mark, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? You have to come alive, son. You have to come alive. You have to live. A narcissist is not going to be faithful. Cheating is part of their manual. It's written in the script. And if you let her back in because you're being hoovered. That's a hoovering. Every 3 days she called, she's trying to get you back in, Mark. Don't get back in. Stay away. Pray. If you have to pray, if you have to read scripture aloud, read scripture aloud. If you have to leave and go to a friend's house just to keep from calling her, go to a friend's house. Take yourself to the movies. Go to the church. Go to get you a men's group. Get in fellowship with some Christian men and get a men group, a strong men group who have high standards, because the narcissist will cheat. If she hoover you back in, Mark, she won't stop cheating. As a matter of fact, it would be crazier than before, because when she devalue you, she's going to make you pay for not being there and making her go through all this to hoover you back in. Stay clear, Mark. You're out. You what they call the free. You are the free. Stay free. The Bible said, whom the Son make free is free indeed. Stay free, Mark. I hope I've answered your questions. I hope I've satisfied you with this teaching. If you like this teaching, this episode, please subscribe to my channel and push the bell. And every time I come on, you will get a notification. Like and share this video. Help somebody who's going through what you're going through. And we will see you on tomorrow as we continue to talk. And remember, you're going to be free. Mark, you are at the greatest advantage you've ever been. Do not sleep with her. Do not go back to her. You don't know where she's been. You don't know how. And she will not stop. And she will not be faithful. And it's not over. A narcissist is a narcissist. You have to know their character. And Mark says, she sounds so calm and sweet when she calls now. She used to seemingly be so angry and like she hated me, but now she's so nice because she's winning you over. You're being love bombed. She's going to go into the love bomb stage. Mark, don't go back. Don't go back. Mark, you can't answer the phone. That's a hoovering. Do not answer the phone. She's pulling you back in. And every time you answer the phone, you're being pulled back in. If she's cheated and not been faithful, you're getting that woman back. You're getting her. The reason she's nice and calm, she was angry before because you gave her a hard time. You caused narcissistic injury. She couldn't get you. But now she's calling you every 3 days, and finally you're responding, and finally it seems like she's winning you over because she knows that you are desperate for her. Most people are addicted to the narcissist, and the narcissist is like a drug. So when you respond to her, she's happy that you respond. She said, every word you said is true. Thank you for the confirmation. Yes, Sandy, I am so glad. And this is Sandy. Thank you, Sandy. I thank you for that reinforcement. Do you hear that, Mark? Do you hear what Sandy is saying? Mark, you can't go back. Mark, every 3 days she calls, stop her schedule. She's on the schedule. And really, you think she's on the schedule. She knows she got you on the schedule. Every 3 days you call, you're there. So she done locked you into a schedule. You are being trained how to respond to her. You're being trained again to be where she wants you to be. You are in a training session by a narcissist, and she's training your mind. She's training your time. She's training your emotions. She's training your passion. She's talking about sex. That's your passion. And she wants to want her more than you ever wanted her before. She said, well, we just have some financial obligations that we have to deal with at this time. Mark, be careful. You're being pulled in. You're being hoovered in. Because God will make a way for you. God will make a way for you. Son, listen to me. God is faithful. The Bible said he's the same yesterday, today, forever, and forever. He will make a way for you, and he will make a way for your freedom. Because the Bible said that God will make a way for escape. And when God opened the door for escape, that you may be able to bear it. You can't bear what she's going to put down. Escape calls you to bear it. Escape calls you to get out. When you get out, that, she said, Say that. That's Angela. Angela says, say that. Yeah, you got to stay out. You got to stay clear. You got to refocus. You got to think. You got to be a cerebral right now. You got to use your mind. When you talk to her, don't use no emotions. Don't react to nothing she says. Don't be happy. Don't be sad. If you have to deal with her without emotion. They have to have emotions to get fuel. And this is Courtney. He said, that's all a part of the plot. Absolutely, Courtney. Absolutely. It's all a part of the plan. It's all a part of the plan to pull you in to more bondage. Because the more you are bound, the more control they have over you. Mark, when you are out, you need to stay out and you need to ask God how to utilize strategy in dealing with the financial issues that you have. You don't have any children together, so you need to stay free. We got to know when to move on before we get trapped. She's okay, do that all the time. No emotion, absolutely. Don't show any emotion because you got to remember how they get their fuel. They get their fuel off of emotion. Don't show any emotion. And you have to practice that. And as you practice, you will perfect that, especially when you're married and you have children and you are waiting for God to download strategy, to download a release valve, an open door. And so what you do, you practice with no emotion. They need fuel. They need angry or happy. They need joy or sadness. They need fuel. And so when you know the narcissist is cheating, I need you to think of the risk factor. Are you willing to take that counter risk with someone who probably don't even, they could care less. You know they don't love you. It don't matter if you married for 50 years. They never love you. And I think the hardest thing for us human is to register someone not loving us that has been with us. Angela Walker said, come on with the truth. Yes, ma'am. It's hard because we're used to having relationships. We're used to exchanging love, exchanging emotions, getting it back. You giving to them protection, loving someone fully, being devoted, looking for a future together. That is not the narcissist. Everything the narcissists look for involves themselves, with or without you. All right? Hopefully, this teaching has been awesome for you, and I pray that you really enjoyed this. And I pray that you would get strength to get free. Because until you're free, the cloudiness in your mind, the fogginess of thought, the dependency upon the narcissist will not cease. She said, be free, absolutely, in Jesus' name. So I am Helen Sattler. I will be back again on tomorrow. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. And I will, through the week, comment on the questions you leave or respond to the statement you make. All right. I really thank God for this moment of being with you. And Mark, he said, thank you. Be blessed. Absolutely. I'm Helen Sattler. I'm your destiny helper. And I look forward to us being together again on tomorrow. And remember, subscribe, share, and push like if you love this video. Let's help somebody else be free. You have an awesome day. All right, who do we have here? She said, no greater love. God bless you and your sincere ministry. Thank you, no greater love. Thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you on tomorrow.